Welcome back to Scuffed Satisfactory. On today's episode, I manhandle my microphone so hard it unplugs itself, and I generate 4 hours of dev footage without realizing it. Hope I can recover from this. Today started with showing off my first use of walkways around the factory and then trying to figure out what's next. I previously gained access to unlocking a lot of next tier items, and the first thing I did was set up coal. As painful as that one ended, but I still had so many more unlocks to go through. Like vehicles, violence sticks, tubes that make you go zoom. A lot was on the table and I fucked up with recording it. Before I did any unlocking, I had to improve my production a little bit. Some simple upgrades and additions sped up the rate at which I received reinforced plates and also sped up modular frames by a little bit. The next unlock started burning through my reserves really fast.
Milestone reached. Long-range transportation, as well as the construction of outposts, is now encouraged. Vehicle stations have built-in functionality to refuel and restock or collect parts.
Here, you got to listen to the whole Ada voice line this time. Mine wasn't there, so enjoy hers. Anyway, yeah, that's vehicles. First little truck I could plop down and drive around, spreading those fumes instead of my boring and healthy running around. Also, yeah, those would have been the jokes you hear from me during all the driving around, but there were so many good moments where I just figured I can run over animals and optimize pollution, extinction, violence. Man, that was a funny day. But what exactly did I say? Fuck if I know. Like, look at this. I wonder what was going on during this moment. Would have been funny to know. Would have been.
Look, Pim, I know it's our job to help this guy and everything, but I think this guy's a lost cause.
Okay, so this was a moment of some real progression. I might have unlocked some new toys, but I also had new responsible big boy recipes to complete. I was finally able to make some steel items, which require coal and iron mixed within a foundry, not just a smelter. It's an important step in our pioneer evolution that might bog down our brains with the necessity of mixing many more recipes and nodes together, like coal and iron for steel ingots, then simply going into a constructor for steel pipes, steel beams, but then that iron and coal requirement becomes copper and limestone requirements for stators and encased beams respectively. It can become a mess if you're trying to add steel to an existing factory. But on this location, I was slowly figuring out that I won't need to make steel parts first and send them off, but rather I could just connect limestone and copper not so far from the actual steel factory. So from the new tiers, something a bit more complicated, I'd be pretty much set on making it all then and there. Oh, this is the famed Blade Runner moment. So, yeah, listen, anyone new or experienced with this game must always unlock and use the Blade Runners, okay? That's the thing that improves your speed and jump height so massively that no matter how many worlds you started, the upgrade will always feel so awesome. Now, I was back to setting up basic steel production, but I was starting to go all over the place. Because the moment I got nearby an iron node, I kept hearing skittering and decided to try and investigate. Spoiler alert, other than Bean weirding me out with his gliding, I found no skittering enemies in the hills and only found mountains of... mountains? And only found Mountain Dew spitters. When I tried to get back on track with the steel factory, I once again just got annoyed by Bean's telekinetic walk abilities and decided to end him, only to be met by one of the most dramatic deaths I've seen in Satisfactory. Who knew violence could be theatrical? Now that I finally connected the basic steel conveyor lines, I started thinking about upgrades, and went back and forth with the first Mark II conveyors, then unlocking and utilizing Mark III conveyors, then going back again unlocking advanced steel production, getting Mark II miners, going shopping for a little bit, returning to the steel factory and deciding to start using more complicated recipes, fashioning on the way that I'll make large conveyor lines look at least a little bit nicer than having spaghetti in sand. There was a lot of upgrading all over the place, because one moment I'm upgrading the steel factory and the mining speeds, conveyor lines, and progressively harder recipes, but the next moment I'm at the coal factory, doubling the amount of power I can now burn. The day would have been a pretty lengthy and fun video that maybe I wouldn't have edited so sloppily as usual, but hey, slop works a lot better on YouTube than trying your best. Anyways, I gotta finish this chaos off, so... The moment I was done with coal, I went back to my starter factory, upgraded all that again, and finally I was done upgrading things, so all that was left that day was unlocking whatever I can. For the first time ever, I finally got the power towers in my own world, and it was quite interesting. Like, my goal was to build some batteries to store excess generated power, but the tower was colossal and covered long distances much better than those little power poles. That's roughly how the day ended, and well, it's a pretty long day. Could have been a really interesting video, maybe 2 of them, but I had to push through massive chunks of time just to get past my little blunder. Hope you enjoyed this leap in progress, I guess, and looking at my next timelines, we'll still be making leaps the next episode, just in different ways.